Hey everybody, Jimmy here. Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're talking about Facebook. I want to take the technical world and I want to take the fundamental world and I want to merge the two and talk about why I think Facebook might be a buy. Today I just nibbled a few shares just to get a little skin in the game, and I'm going to be watching it moving forward. But I've found a significant support level, in my opinion, combined with some good fundamental analysis that I think is indicating that Facebook could go higher for the long term. This isn't a day trade. This is a longer term swing trade. It's a position I want to build. I want to eventually possibly write some calls against it, but I'm looking to build and hold for a longer period of time now, and I want to share with you exactly why. So with that, let's dive in. All right, here we go. We got Facebook up on the weekly chart, and I just want to break down sort of my logic and thought process right now on Facebook and why I think it is a buy for me, in my opinion. Again, do your own due diligence. I want to say that right up front. Don't trade based off decisions or information I'm sharing with you. Just use what I'm saying as another tool in your belt. It's more information so you can make a more informed decision. So on Facebook, let's start with the technical parts. I told you in the intro, I'm going to merge the technical world with the fundamental world. And right now, let's start with the technical, which is going to be our patterns, our chart, our price action, our candlesticks. So as you all know, I like to start with the weekly chart, and I have that up right now on Facebook. And if we look at this at a glance, you can immediately see, we've got all of our earnings through here. And most recently, if I hover this one, you can see that they had an earnings beat. There was an estimate of $1.97 and the actual was $1.99, so that's positive. So I like to just check back a few. So right there, they missed earnings there. Then if we come in here, they beat earnings there. They beat earnings there. I just like to check a few of them real quick. They missed them there. And I also like to see what the response was. When they miss earnings, is there a big fallout? Or do things just kind of smooth over and keep going? So most recently, we know that they had an earnings beat, which is positive. That goes in our favor. Now, there's been a lot of drama in the markets. There's been a lot of tweeting, a lot of Trump effect on this. So the stock has been beat up a little bit, and that kind of swings things in our favor because it takes a good company and it beats it up a little bit for no real reason, and then allows us to get a cheaper price to move forward. So with that, looking down here, you can see I've got the MACD up. And the MACD is something that I've been using more and more with options trading and with just looking for overall positions in stocks that I might want to hold for maybe longer than a few days. So if I zoom in here on this weekly chart, you can see that the MACD pushed down and then came back up. And now we're pushing down again, and every time we do that, we typically get what they call a reversion to the mean. So we push down here. Now, what naturally will happen, usually at that point, we'll revert back to this line, the midline, that mean. It doesn't mean we have to, and it doesn't mean that we have to go higher, but we typically revert to the mean, and then something else happens. So right now, this is dipping down. You can see we are expanding away from the mean, and now I'm looking for it to revert to the mean on the weekly chart. So that got me a little interested that we are pushing, we're expanding to the downside. And in addition to that, if I flip over to the daily chart, you can see in here, I talked about in the intro that significant support level that I was interested in. Now, I drew this line out, and this line is right at $180. What I like about it is, in the past, we got this very tight price action that was sort of tucked right up underneath 180, and then we had an explosion above it. Anytime there's a consolidation around a price level, and then you blow above it, that typically will establish a new support level. And as you can see, it came back down, and it did. It used it as a support level. It bounced off. Came back again, not as close, bounced off, and then it did it a third time right in here and bounced away again. Then we got close to it and we collapsed hard below it. So now in my mind I'm thinking, okay, could this now be an overhead resistance level? Let's keep watching. We come back up, it touches it and gets rejected. So yes, it was an overhead resistance level. But then we came right back to it and exploded above it. So now I'm viewing it as an overall support level. Then we travel up high and we come back down and revisit it right here. And as you can see, we bounced. It became support. We came back again, bounced, acted as support. Came back down again, tried to go lower, and then got rejected and shoved right back above the line. And now if I zoom in, you can see we're right back down at that level. So today when I saw this, Facebook opened up and started to push a little bit lower beyond that line. As it started to recover a little bit and get back to our $180 price level or support level, I decided I was going to go ahead and buy a few shares. Now this might sound a little crazy, but I only bought 5 shares. I took 5 shares of Facebook and now I'm just going to watch. I got a price that I liked at a support level that I liked with very little risk because my share size is very small. So my plan moving forward with Facebook is to keep watching it, and anytime it has a down day where it's sort of acting like it's interacting with the $180 level, I'm going to add another 5 shares. I'm just going to, or maybe a little bit more if it's looking a little better. And then as it starts to reverse its trend and set higher lows and higher highs coming off this level, I'm going to add more and more to my position to try to build it to 100 shares so that at that point I could start to write covered calls, which are options contracts. I'd like to go ahead and do that while I hold this position and wait for continuous pullbacks in the future to go ahead and add to my size on this. So my technical analysis of this right now is using this support level combined with the MACD. We push down and now we're starting to revert up to the mean. And I like that because that says to me that once we get back to the mean, yes, we could go lower, but we're at a support level. So likely, we're going to put in some green bars on the MACD and maybe go a little bit higher. And maybe sort of change a little bit of direction and get away from the 180 level. Maybe start to migrate back to that comfortable, very nice $200 level. So that's the technical analysis that I'm looking at on Facebook right now. So I went ahead, bought the 5 shares, and I got an entry price of $181.50. So I put that on my spreadsheet. I'm going to chart that. I'm going to watch it. And then anytime Facebook has a pullback, I'm going to add just a little bit to the stack and try to build a position up to 100 shares because 100 shares is one options contract. That will allow me to write a covered call moving forward. Now, let's go from the technical analysis and let's move over and let's look at some fundamentals and let's try to make sense of what Facebook has been doing. Now, right here, you can see they had earnings. They beat earnings, $1.99 per share, which is fantastic. So that was a surprise, that was a beat, and that is showing a favorable move forward. So that's the first piece I like. I like that they beat earnings. Now, from here, I'm going to flip over to TD Ameritrade's regular platform where I'm logged in here, and you can see that I've got Facebook brought up on the research and ideas area. And under fundamentals, I'm looking in here, it describes what Facebook's about, and the first thing I look at here is their PE, price to earnings ratio, 30.73 currently for Facebook. I typically look for stuff that's a little bit lower. It does have a median PE right now of 22 and change, so that's good. But I like to just make sure that this is not old uber high. I like to make sure that it's a reasonable PE right now. So looking at that, we move down here and you can see the income statement and cash flow from operations are both moving in a very bullish direction right now. So it ends with 2018, but it's showing nice progress moving up. So that's favorable. I like to see that. So the next thing I'll do is come over here and look at this balance sheet. I'll click that. And you can get into some interesting stuff in here. And what I like to focus on is I like to look at their cash and short-term investments right here. And you can see we're at $48,596 for cash and short-term investments. Then, if we close this, we can come to liabilities and we can see their total debt. And here's the key for Facebook. Total debt on Facebook's book is a big whopping 0. Facebook is a company that has no debt. They have liabilities because they own office space, they have employees, they're paying benefit packages, but they don't have any debt. So this puts Facebook head and shoulders above a lot of other stocks. Because at the end of the day, when Facebook gets beat up and their price drops because of something Trump did or because something that someone says, you know that that's just fine because the business is so solid. They have no debt. So that makes you comfortable or more comfortable with buying shares when things get beat up. So flipping back to the chart, Facebook has had this current, they've gotten beat up. They've been pushed back down to the support level. And we know, okay, they've been beat up, they've been pushed down by the markets, but they have no debt. The balance sheet is good, and that's huge for moving forward as a profitable business. So as we're looking through this, we can get as detailed as we want in here, but it's so good to just be able to look in and say, what is their debt and what is their overall cash and short-term investments right here. So this is $48.5 billion in cash and short-term investments. And when we move over here, we have no debt at all. And the nice thing about Facebook is not only do we not have debt for quarter 2 of 2019, there was no debt for quarter 1 of 2019 or quarter 4 of 2018 or quarter 3 of 2018. There is no debt on their books. So it's such a positive thing for Facebook that when you hear about data breaches and you hear about all these different stories and negative things that are happening, yes, those are real things and those affect companies, but at the end of the day, is the company profitable and do they have a bunch of debt? And in this case, Facebook is profitable, they had an earnings beat, and they have no debt. So it makes it very prime for when we get a pullback. And that's exactly what we've got. We got a pullback, we got a nice price in here, and I went ahead, and as I showed you, I went ahead and stole 5 shares. I know it's not huge, but it's just a start, it's a nibble, and I'm going to be moving forward with slightly larger position sizes, adding to this position as I see Facebook start to respect this 180 level and move upward. Now, if Facebook breaks down and keeps going lower, then I'll hold off for a bit and see if it tests another level. But because my size is so small, I can weather that storm, and then when we get to a level where we're starting to set up a little bit and respect a support level, I'll add to my position size and average down my cost basis because I plan to hold this stock over the long term. Now, another approach to this would be to sell a cash covered put, a cash secured put. But what I want to be careful with is I don't want to take 100 shares all at once, and that's what I would need to do to sell a put on Facebook. So I'm just going to build a position slowly up to 100 and then look to write covered calls moving forward. One other thing I like to see is I'm looking in their revenue, and I can close some of these tabs to keep it a little simpler. But when I'm looking in their revenue, I can see that we've moved up until quarter 1, but then from quarter 1, revenue has increased going into quarter 2. So I like to see that movement in the right direction moving forward. So with that, I hope this was helpful. I hope this sort of explained a little bit of the logic behind why I like Facebook and why I nibbled 5 shares and why I'm going to be watching it around the $180 level moving forward. Now again, it could go lower, and that's fine because my size is so small. I want to keep a close eye on it and add to my position and lower my cost basis if things do go lower once I've established where we are on a support level and if Facebook is respecting it at that point. Then I'll go ahead, add to my position size, keep an eye on the MACD looking for reversion up to the mean again, and then possibly look to go higher. But if I can add to this position over the next few weeks, months, half year, build a nice position, that creates a nice number of shares that you can write calls against to be generating monthly income while you're letting your stock shares appreciate in value. So thanks for stopping by today, guys. If you have any questions, post them below. I hope it's a green day, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. So see you then.